Hi viewers, welcome to Five Mantra. Now we are going to discuss about Python. Just before we conducted some basic concepts about what is Python, what is the need of the Python, why should I learn this Python language in present environment that we discussed. And now what we are going to do is we are going to in deep with the Python, right? We'll attach with the Python properly how to install and how to work with that, and what is the behind we are using with the Python that we are going to discuss today, right? Here main important thing when we are working with any programming language, that programming language will write with the syntax or something, right? Okay, and that code has to be converted into machine understandable code. How to do that one? Okay, here how many translators we have, that we are going to discuss, and what translator we are using for this Python that we are going to discuss here, right? Okay, and as well as we'll do the installation also, how to install the Python in our system in Windows environment that we are going to do today. Okay, now here uh, when you have written some code using any programming language, that programming language has to be converted into machine understandable code. You know, already we discussed in last sessions. Okay, your computer is an electronics device. It is a simple machine, only it is understand the zeros and ones, and other than zeros and ones it cannot do anything, right? Now what my intention is, I'll write my code in one specific language. That code has to be convert into machine understandable language, right? How to do this one? Here basically we'll use some set of software. That software we called as a translators. Okay, and here how the translator will do is, we'll write some code, set of code, right, using any language like Python or C or C++, Java or any programming language. And once this language is complete, coding source coding development is completed, then I'll give that one to the translator. What the translator will do is, okay, this translator will get the total code instruction by instruction, and all instruction will take once, and it will process that one, and after processing this code, and it will be translated to under mission understandable code. Simply this mission understandable code is nothing but a zeros and ones only. There is no other than zeros and ones. Only your machine can understand zeros and ones only. Now my whatever code we have written in our language, that code has to be converted into machine understandable code. Then only that your application will be work, right? So how to do this one, and what are the translators we have, that we are going to discuss. Now this code, whatever we are writing, that code like C code or C++ or Java or Python or any programming languages we have, all programming language code we called as a source code. That source code we are giving to the translator, then translator will translate that source code to the mission code. Mission code is just understand that zeros and ones, there is no other than symbol. There is no only two symbols we have, 0 or 1. Right now we have a translators, and now how many types of translators we have? Now this is a basic question, right? How many programming languages we have, and how many programming languages we are working with that, and how many translators we have, how to convert this programming language to that machine understandable code, that we are going to discuss. These translators are three. Okay, these translators are three. One is the compiler, another one is the interpreter, and another one is the assembler. Basically, when program code is started, first assembly language was introduced with the mnemonics. Okay, that code is given to the assembler, then this assembler will convert that one code into zeros and ones. Just remember, this translator work is just it has to be convert your source code to the machine understandable code. Now assembler is used in electronics environment in before C language, and total electronics machines are implemented with the help of assembler only, right? Now with the help of assembler, what they are doing, already they written some set of codes with the assembly language, and that assembly language code given to the assembler, then assembler will convert that one into the machine understandable code. This is the one scenario, this is the one type of thing. Next one is the interpreter, right? What is the interpreter means? It is also translator. It is also translator, but it is used with the high level languages. These two, compiler and interpreters, are used for high level languages only. Okay, what makes different? These two translators are using with the high level languages only, right? Now what makes the difference between these? Okay, that if you know this concept, easily you can adopt that particular language, right? Which language we are using for compile with the compiler, which language we are using with the interpreter, the translation process, if you know, easily you can adopt that language. Now this is the compiler. What is the compiler will do is, it will do the compilation. Compilation is nothing but it is just a high level language will be converted into machine understandable language. Compiler means to convert a programming language from high level language to a binary executable code which is understandable by the machine. It is nothing but a zeros and ones. Now whatever code you write, which language you are using, that must be converted into machine understandable code. Now we are using a compiler, that whenever we are using a compiler, that process we called as a compilation. That process we called as a compilation. What is how it will do means, at a time, for example, I written 100 lines of code, all 100 lines of code will be converted at a time. Seeing this, what we have to understand is this compilation process is fast, and it will generate one file, set of files it will be generated, and main important file there it is executable code. One executable code is available with me, then I can run that executable code in any programming, any operating system. Then that concept we called as a mission independent. And some languages compilers will compile the code dependable applications only, means if I convert my programming application code into Windows environment, that application only run in Windows environment. That is mission dependent code we call. Okay, and we have two concepts we have that we'll discuss, what mission independent and mission dependent, that we'll discuss in the next sessions, right? But now just understand that compiler is used to generate mission understandable code. Here executable file code, whatever we have executable file code, all are with the help of compiler only. It is compiled and converted into your application, right? In our operating system, so many applications we have, all applications are follows these compiler only, compilation process, and this file can be run in any operating system, means that application we called as a mission independent application. If that application only run in particular operating system, that application we called as a mission dependent applications. Like here, if you go into the discussion, Java is a independent, platform independent or mission independent, what we call, and C++ code is a dependent code, right? Dependent application it will be generated. This is the main difference that we'll discuss in a next another sessions, right? Okay. Another one we have, that is the interpretation. What is the makes difference between compilation and interpretation is, in compiler all code will be converted into, all lines of code will be converted into one mission understandable code in one shot, and whatever the errors we have, the true errors information will be given at a time. But interpreter is not like that, boss. It will be compiled line by line. It will be compiled line by line. For example, 100 lines I have. Each line will be compiled. After completion of the first line, it will goes to the next line to next line, next line to next line. Like, okay, once if you have any error in between, then your interpretation process will be stopped, and it will request to rectify that error. This is the important thing, right? So here what we have to understand is, here this compilation compared to compilation process, the interpretation is very slow. Why? Because 100 lines of code will be compiled at a time, but interpretation is not like that. 100 lines, line by line it will be compiled. If any error is occurred, that there the process will be stopped and it will request to rectify that error in a debugging process, right? This is the important point we have to know. And actually these interpreters are used with the help in scripting languages like JavaScript or any other scripting languages we have. These code will be converted into machine understandable code with the help of this interpreter. Right. So interpreter main difference, what maybe in interview question, what is the they will ask the important question that what is makes difference between interpreter and compiler. Guys, you have to, main important point is here it is only at a time it will convert all lines of code, and if any error is there that will be shown by the compiler, and it is the fastest process. Second point is interpreter is a line by line compilation interpretation, and if any error is occurred that debugging process will be stopped, so it is a slow process. And main thing is compiler is used with the high level languages like C++ and all, and this interpreter is used with the scripting languages. Okay, that is the main difference we have to. And the slow process and this is the main important. Compiler is the fast process. It will generate more files. Compiler will generate more files. Interpreter is not like that. It will generate small set of files, and it is the portable code we have. Anywhere you can port into that application, right? And it is the main important thing is not only compilation interpretation time, when you want to run that time also this interpreter must ensure, right? If interpreter is not available with your system, then your application cannot be run. So that is the main important thing, right? So if you observe, we have a browsers like Internet Explorer or so many browsers we have, right? These all browsers inbuilt these interpreters are available, means JavaScript interpreters and XYZ, whatever languages we are using in that. Okay, so this is the main important thing is compiler is fast and interpreter is slow, and compiler will do at a time 100 all lines of code at a time, but interpreter is line by line. Okay, and the compiler is used high level big languages like C++, complex languages like C++, but interpreter is with the scripting languages, right? And final one, and it is a basic one, that is the assembler. But nowadays as a programmer, if you are an electronic student, if your domain is electronics, you are working with the devices and old legacy devices, there maybe you will use the assemblers. Okay, but now assemblers we are not using, right? Assembly language we are not using. Automatically we are converted that assembly language code into C language, right? Now here it's a simple, it is converts man code into machine understandable code, and this type of translator is used with the assembly language only, not with the high level languages. It is an important point you have to remember. After completion of these assemblers and compilers and interpreter, which one I have to choose for my language? For Python, we have so many things we have, but still we have a confusion. And what translator I have to use? This Python, this is the basic question I have. But here, Python is using only interpreters, right? To translate Python source code to the machine understandable code, we are going to use this translator is nothing but a interpreter. Why we have to use the interpreter? What is the advantages we have? What is the main thing? What is why we have to select this translator interpreter as a translator for Python language is it is easier to debug. Means I am writing a set of code, right? I have any error, then that error I can rectify it, right? And it is a syntactically it is a very easy environment we have. If you go with the C or C++, we have a lot of problems with the semicolons and commas and dots, right? But here it is not the problem, right? They are implemented that are readable, and understanding is very easy with the Python code syntax, right? So because of that, the nature of the syntax, it is interpreter is the best thing for to translate my Python code to the machine understandable code. And basically this Python is not it is not a new language, it is a old language. It is introduced in 1980s. So now it is the fame what before C language, when we invented, Dennis Rich was invented C language, that time this Python was invented, right? Means band or some, right? I'll explain why I have to use interpreter for translator. Is it easier to debug the compared to compiler. It is easier to debug. Why? Because compiler will generate a lot of files, and the size of the files also will increase, but here interpreter is a simple line by line it will be do, and it will give the small set of files only, right? Next one is easier to create a multi-platform code, as each different platform would have an interpreter to run the same code, right? So here when I develop any Python code, that Python code is a language platform independent, means easily it will be run in other platform also. Easily you can develop same syntax you will write, but platform, when you have a platform, there you have a one interpreter, that interpreter will generate platform dependent application or executable file. And it is mainly this is used in a debugging and a testing purpose, and this interpreter is very convenient process. Right, next up, when you want to develop a prototype or something like, okay, when you are developing a big application, small prototype you want to develop, that time it is the interpreter is very easy. Why? Because no need to write a total code to get the results, right? How many lines you written, that lines automatically it will be generated. And moreover, this Python is supports interactive programming environment, right? Interactive mode means when I written some code, automatically it will be converted into machine understandable and it will give the results. That was the advantages we have with the Python, right?